help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story.
My name's Derek Mitchell, and I'm 38 years old. I used to think I had it all figured out. A decent job as an accountant, a house in the suburbs of Ohio, a wife named Jessica, and a 10-year-old son named Tyler who was smarter than I'd ever been at his age. I thought we were living the American dream, you know? Barbecues on weekends, family movie nights, the whole package. But on a Tuesday afternoon in March, I came home early from work with Chinese takeout and found my wife's closet emptied out, half our bedroom furniture gone, and a note on the kitchen counter that said, "I'm sorry, I need to find myself. Don't try to contact me." Find herself? Lady, you're 36 years old with a kid. You're supposed to be found by now. I stood there in my kitchen, holding Kung Pao chicken that was getting cold, trying to process what just happened. Then I checked our bank accounts. That's when the real panic set in. Our joint savings account, the one we'd been building for 15 years, was empty. Not just low, empty. $0 and Tyler's college fund, the one we'd been contributing to since he was born, the one that had almost $47,000 in it, also gone, wiped clean. My hands started shaking. I called Jessica's phone, straight to voicemail. I called again, same thing. I tried her mother, her sister, her best friend, Rachel. Nobody knew anything, or at least that's what they claimed. I was about to call the police when Tyler walked in from his friend's house next door. "Hey, Dad, what's for dinner?" he asked, dropping his backpack by the door like he did every day. I looked at my son, this kid with messy brown hair, glasses that were always sliding down his nose, and a t-shirt with some video game character on it. And I had no idea how to tell him that his mother had just abandoned us and stolen his entire future in the process. Chinese food," I managed to say. "Tyler, buddy, we need to talk." His face got serious immediately. Kids are smart like that. They can sense when something's really wrong. We sat down at the kitchen table, and I tried to explain it in a way that wouldn't completely destroy him. I told him his mom had left, that she needed some time away, that it wasn't his fault. I didn't mention the money yet. I couldn't bring myself to tell him that his college dreams had just evaporated. But Tyler didn't cry. He didn't even look that surprised. He just sat there, nodding slowly, like he was processing information in some internal computer. Then he said something that caught me completely off guard. "Is it because of Rick?" "Who's Rick?" I asked. "Mom's friend. He's been coming around when you're at work. He drives a red Mustang and wears too much cologne." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "How long has this been going on?" Tyler shrugged. "I don't know, maybe 6 months? I thought you knew." 6 months. My wife had been cheating on me for 6 months, and I'd been too busy working overtime to save for our future to even notice. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I'd been at the office late, crunching numbers, trying to make partner, all so we could have a better life. Meanwhile, Jessica was at home making plans with Rick, the Mustang guy, to steal everything and run. That night, after Tyler went to bed, I did what any reasonable person would do. I drank half a bottle of whiskey and went through our financial records with a fine-tooth comb. Jessica had been smart about it. She'd been moving small amounts out over the past month, nothing big enough to trigger alerts. Then today, she'd cleaned out the rest. The transfers all went to an account in her name only, and from there, the trail went cold. She'd probably withdrawn it all as cash. I called the police the next morning. They were sympathetic but not helpful. It was a civil matter, they said. Technically, it was a joint account, so technically she had the right to withdraw the money. Never mind that it was our son's education fund. Never mind that she'd stolen it all to run off with her boyfriend. The law didn't care about those details. They suggested I get a lawyer and file for divorce. I did. I called every attorney in town until I found one who would see me that week. His name was Mark Peterson, and he had the kind of tired eyes that suggested he'd seen every terrible thing people could do to each other. "I'm not going to lie to you, Derek," Mark said after I explained everything. "Getting that money back is going to be tough. It's going to be expensive, and it's going to take time, maybe years. Do you have any idea where she is?" "No clue," I said. "Her phone's off, her family claims they don't know. She's just gone." Mark sighed and made some notes. "We'll file for divorce on grounds of abandonment. We'll petition for full custody of your son, which you'll probably get, and we'll try to recover the funds, but I want you to be realistic about your expectations." I left his office feeling worse than when I'd gone in. I'd already lost my wife, my savings, and my son's future. Now I was going to lose thousands more on legal fees just to make it official. When I got home, Tyler was in his room, which was weird because it was a Saturday and he usually spent weekends glued to his Xbox. I knocked on his door. "Come in," he said. He was sitting at his desk with his laptop open, typing away at something. He quickly minimized the window when I walked in, which immediately made me suspicious. "What are you working on?" I asked. "Nothing," he said, which is what kids always say when they're definitely working on something. "Tyler, if you're trying to find your mom online or something, I don't think that's a good idea right now." He looked at me with this expression I couldn't quite read. It was almost mischievous. "I'm not looking for Mom," he said. "I'm just doing some research for a school project." I didn't believe him, but I also didn't have the energy to push it. I was running on 3 hours of sleep and emotional exhaustion. "Okay, well, lunch in 20 minutes. I'm making grilled cheese." For the next few days, I went through the motions of life like a zombie. I called in sick to work. I barely ate. I spent hours staring at the TV without actually watching anything. Tyler, on the other hand, seemed almost fine. Better than fine, actually. He was calm, focused, spending a lot of time on his computer. I figured he was coping by throwing himself into schoolwork or games or whatever kids do these days.
Then, on Thursday evening, 4 days after Jessica left, Tyler came downstairs with this huge grin on his face. Not a small smile, a full-on ear-to-ear grin that looked completely out of place given everything that had happened. "Dad," he said, bouncing on his heels, "it's fine. I fixed everything." I looked up from my third beer of the evening. "What do you mean you fixed everything?" "The money thing. I fixed it. Mom's going to give it all back." I felt my heart sink. This was worse than I thought. My kid was having some kind of delusional break from reality. "Tyler, buddy, I don't think—" "Just wait," he interrupted. "Trust me, in about 2 days, she's going to call you, and she's going to be really, really sorry." I didn't know what to say to that. I just pulled him into a hug and tried not to cry. My poor kid had snapped. The stress had been too much. I made a mental note to call a child therapist in the morning. But then Friday came and went. Saturday morning, I was making pancakes, poorly because I'd never been the breakfast parent, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" "Derek?" It was Jessica's voice, but I'd never heard her sound like this. She was crying, almost hyperventilating. "Derek, please, I need help. I need to talk to you." Every emotion hit me at once. Anger, relief, confusion, more anger. "Are you kidding me right now? You steal our son's college fund and disappear for 5 days, and now you need my help?" I know, I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake, but Derek, something's happened, something really bad. Can we please meet, please?" And here's where I should have told her to go to hell. Here's where I should have hung up and let her deal with whatever consequences she'd brought on herself. But there was something in her voice, genuine terror, that made me hesitate. "Where are you?" I asked. "At my mom's house. Can you come here, please? I can't explain over the phone." I looked at Tyler, who was sitting at the kitchen table eating pancakes and pretending not to listen. He was still wearing that same weird little grin. "Fine," I told Jessica. "I'll be there in 30 minutes, but I'm bringing our lawyer." I didn't actually bring Mark. It was Saturday morning and I didn't want to pay his weekend rates, but she didn't need to know that. I dropped Tyler off at my brother's house and drove to Jessica's mother's place across town, my mind racing with possibilities. What could have happened? Had Rick robbed her, left her stranded? Had karma finally decided to do its job? Jessica's mom answered the door with a pinched expression that suggested she'd finally figured out what kind of person her daughter actually was. She led me to the living room where Jessica was sitting on the couch, looking like she'd aged 10 years in 5 days. Her eyes were red and puffy, her hair was a mess, and she was clutching a tissue like it was a life preserver. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. I sat in the chair across from her, making sure to keep my distance. "Talk." She took a shaky breath. "Rick and we went to Las Vegas. That was the plan. We were going to start over there, maybe open a business. We got a hotel room at the Bellagio, and everything was perfect at first. But then,"
she trailed off, tears streaming down her face. But then what? But then I woke up Tuesday morning and he was gone, just gone. And so was all the money, every penny. He took my phone, my laptop, my credit cards. He even took the cash I had in my purse. He left me with nothing, Derek, nothing. I want to take a moment here and acknowledge something. If you've been following this story, you know how devastating betrayal can feel, especially when it involves your family and your finances. Before we continue with what happens next, I just want to remind you that if you're going through something similar, you're not alone. These stories matter because they show us that even in our darkest moments, there's always a path forward. So, if you're finding value in this story, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, you'll want to see how this unfolds. Now, back to Jessica sitting there on her mother's couch looking absolutely destroyed. I sat there processing this information. Part of me, the part that had loved this woman for 15 years, felt a twinge of sympathy, but the bigger part, the part that had spent the last 5 days in hell, felt something else entirely, something that tasted a lot like vindication. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. You abandoned our family, stole our son's college fund, and ran off to Vegas with your boyfriend, and then your boyfriend stole everything from you, and now you are calling me for help. I know how it sounds. Do you? I cut her off. Do you really? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you destroyed our family and our son's future for some guy with a Mustang and too much cologne, and now you're shocked that he turned out to be a scumbag. Derek, please. How much is left? She looked down. Nothing. It's all gone. All $47,000 from Tyler's account, plus the $30,000 from our savings? She nodded miserably. I stood up. Good. I hope you learned an expensive lesson about trust and consequences. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to figure out how to tell our 10-year-old son that his mother is not only a cheater and a thief, but also an idiot. Wait, she jumped up. Derek, there's more. Something really weird happened. Unless Rick magically reappeared with our money, I don't care. No, listen, before he disappeared, something strange happened to his bank accounts. All of them got frozen, and then he got arrested. I stopped at the door. What? Jessica's mom, who'd been silent this whole time, spoke up. It's true. The police came here yesterday looking for Jessica. They wanted to ask her questions about this Rick character. Apparently, he's wanted for identity theft, wire fraud, and a bunch of other things across multiple states. I turned back around. So you ran off with a career criminal.
I didn't know, Jessica protested. I swear I didn't know. But Derek, the police said something weird. They said his accounts got frozen because someone reported him for suspicious activity. Someone hacked into his bank records and found evidence of all his previous scams and sent it to the FBI. They said it was some kind of sophisticated cyber investigation, but they can't figure out who did it. Something cold ran down my spine. I thought about Tyler at his computer, typing away, minimizing windows when I walked in. I thought about his weird confidence, his certainty that everything would be fixed in 2 days. When exactly did Rick get arrested? I asked. Wednesday night, Jessica said. The police said the FBI got an anonymous tip Tuesday afternoon with detailed information about his location, his aliases, his account numbers, everything. They had enough evidence to get warrants within hours. Tuesday afternoon, the day after Jessica left, the day Tyler had been glued to his computer. No, there was no way. My 10-year-old son couldn't have... Could he? What happens to the money now? I asked. Jessica's mother answered. The police said that because Rick's accounts were frozen before he could move the money further, and because they can prove he stole it as part of a fraud scheme, they might be able to return it to his victims. But it could take months, and there's no guarantee. Might, I repeated. No guarantee. I'm so sorry, Jessica said again. Derek, I know I destroyed everything. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want to make this right. I want to come home. I want to be a family again. I looked at this woman I'd spent 15 years with, this person I'd trusted with everything, and I felt nothing. No anger anymore. No love. Just emptiness. No, I said simply. Derek! No,
I repeated. You don't get to come back. You don't get to pretend this didn't happen. You made your choice when you emptied our accounts and walked out that door. Now you get to live with it. But I have nothing. No money, no job. Rick destroyed my credit cards. I can't even... Figure it out, I said. You're an adult. You wanted to find yourself? Congratulations. Turns out you're someone who makes terrible decisions and has to face the consequences. Welcome to the real world. I left before she could say anything else. On the drive back to my brother's house, I couldn't stop thinking about Tyler's strange behavior, his confidence, that grin. When I picked him up, he was playing video games with his cousins, looking completely normal. How'd it go? He asked casually on the drive home. Your mom's boyfriend stole all the money and then got arrested by the FBI, I said, watching his face carefully. Oh, wow, Tyler said, his expression perfectly neutral. That's crazy. Is Mom okay? She's alive. That's about all I can say. I paused. Tyler, can I ask you something? Sure, Dad. That school project you've been working on, what's it about? He adjusted his glasses, that little gesture he always did when he was thinking. Digital security and cybercrime investigation. We had to research how law enforcement tracks criminals online. Pretty interesting stuff. Uh-huh. And this research, did it involve actual computers and actual crimes? Tyler looked right at me with those innocent 10-year-old eyes. Dad, I'm in 5th grade. What do you think I could possibly do with a computer that the FBI can't? He had a point. It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous to think that my 10-year-old son had somehow tracked down his mother's boyfriend, hacked into his accounts, uncovered evidence of multiple crimes, and anonymously tipped off the FBI, all in the span of 48 hours. Except Tyler had been in advanced computer classes since he was 7. Except I'd had to put parental controls on his laptop because he'd figured out how to bypass the school's firewall in 3rd grade. Except he'd once explained cryptocurrency mining to me in terms that made my head spin, and he was only 9 years old. Tyler said carefully, if someone, hypothetically, did something illegal but for a good reason, like recovering stolen money, would that person still get in trouble? He thought about it. Hypothetically, I think it would depend on whether anyone could prove they did it and whether they actually broke any laws or just used public information in creative ways, and whether the outcome was someone bad getting caught for things they actually did wrong. He paused, hypothetically speaking. We drove in silence for a few minutes. Dad, Tyler said quietly, yeah, buddy? Even if the money takes a long time to come back, or even if it doesn't all come back, I'm okay with it. I'm good at school. I can get scholarships. And honestly, I learned more from this whole situation than I would have from any college anyway. What did you learn? He smiled. Not the weird grin from before, but a real smile. That when someone takes something from you, sometimes you have to be smarter than them to get it back, and that bad people always think they're smarter than everyone else. That's their weakness. I reached over and ruffled his hair. When did you get so wise? I have a good dad, he said simply. Over the next few weeks, things slowly started to return to some version of normal. Mark, the lawyer, moved forward with the divorce proceedings. Jessica, facing a reality where she had no money and no home, moved back in with her mother. She called a few times, wanting to see Tyler, and I let her. He was still her son, even if she'd failed spectacularly as a parent. But Tyler always came back from those visits quiet and sad, so eventually the visits got less frequent. The FBI investigation moved forward. Turns out, Rick, whose real name was Richard Pawlowski, had been running scams for almost a decade. He had at least 15 victims across 7 states, and the total amount he'd stolen was close to $500,000. My wife had just been his latest mark. Here's where things get interesting. And if you're still with me at this point, I want to say thank you for sticking with this story. What's about to happen next is something I never could have predicted, and it's going to show you that sometimes karma works in mysterious ways. Make sure you're subscribed because the ending of this story is something you'll want to share with everyone you know. Seriously, hit that like button right now. About 6 weeks after everything went down, I got a call from an FBI agent named Sarah Chen. She wanted to meet with me to discuss the case. I met her at a coffee shop downtown, expecting more bad news. Mr. Mitchell, she said, shaking my hand, thank you for meeting with me. I have some interesting updates about your case. Is the money gone forever? I asked, getting straight to the point. Actually, no. We've recovered about 90% of what was stolen from you. The funds were still in Pazalowski's accounts when we froze them. You should receive a check within the next month. I nearly fell out of my chair. Seriously? Seriously. You're one of the lucky ones. Most of his earlier victims won't see a penny because he'd already moved and spent that money. She paused, studying me carefully. Mr. Mitchell, can I ask you something off the record? My stomach tightened. Sure. The tip we received about Pazalowski was extraordinarily detailed. It included information that would have required sophisticated computer skills to obtain. Account numbers, aliases, locations, digital fingerprints from previous crimes. Whoever sent it knew exactly what they were doing. I kept my face neutral. That's good for you, right? Made your job easier? It did. But it also raises questions about how a civilian obtained that information. Some of it came from databases that are supposed to be secure. She leaned forward. Do you have any idea who might have helped us? I thought about Tyler, currently in school, probably acing another math test. I thought about his innocent question about whether someone could get in trouble for, hypothetically, doing something illegal for a good reason. No idea, I said. Maybe it was someone else Pazalowski scammed, someone with the skills to fight back. Agent Chen studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Maybe. Whoever it was, they did us a favor. Pazalowski's going away for a long time. She stood up to leave, then paused. Mr. Mitchell, if you happen to figure out who helped us, tell them thank you, and tell them to be more careful. Not all agents are as willing as I am to look the other way when the outcome is this good. After she left, I sat there, finishing my coffee, processing everything. The money was coming back. Jessica's betrayal had been expensive in other ways, but at least Tyler would still have his college fund. Maybe even more than before, once the divorce was finalized and I got awarded restitution. That evening, I made Tyler's favorite dinner, spaghetti and meatballs. While we were eating, I told him about the FBI agent's visit, about the money being recovered. He smiled. That's great, Dad. I told you it would be fine. I did. I twirled some pasta on my fork. Tyler, that FBI agent said something interesting. She said whoever found the evidence about Pazalowski must have been really smart. Like really, really smart. Computer genius level smart. Huh, Tyler said, not looking down from his plate. She also said that person should be more careful in the future, that they should maybe stick to legal ways of helping people. Now Tyler looked up at me. We had a long moment of eye contact, father and son, both of us understanding exactly what was being said without saying it. Dad, he said finally. Yeah? I think I want to study cybersecurity when I go to college, maybe work for the FBI someday, doing computer forensics, helping catch bad guys legally. I smiled. I think you'd be great at that. 3 months later, the divorce was final. Jessica got supervised visitation with Tyler twice a month and had to pay child support, which she couldn't actually pay because she was working a minimum wage job at Target and living with her mother, but the principle mattered. I got the house, full custody of Tyler, and $70,000, the recovered money plus the court-ordered restitution that would probably take years to collect. I also got something more valuable, absolute clarity about what mattered. Not money, not marriage, not the picture-perfect suburban life I'd been trying so hard to maintain. What mattered was the brilliant, strange, occasionally terrifying kid sitting across from me at dinner every night, the one who had somehow figured out how to hack his way into a criminal career's life and bring him down. Tyler never admitted to anything. Not directly. But sometimes I'd catch him smiling at his computer screen, or I'd notice a news article about cybercrime on his browser history, and I'd know. I'd know that my son was something special, something that probably should have scared me, but instead made me incredibly proud. On the 1-year anniversary of the day Jessica left, Tyler and I went out for pizza. He was 11 now, about to start middle school, already taller and somehow older than he'd been when this all started. Dad, he pulled cheese off his slice. Can I tell you something? Always. I think I'm glad Mom left. I stopped mid-bite. What?
I mean, obviously it sucked at the time, and I wish she hadn't stolen the money, but I don't know. Things are better now. Simpler. It's just you and me, and we're doing okay. Better than okay. He looked at me seriously through those glasses. And I learned that I can fix things. When something goes wrong, I don't have to just sit there and let it happen. I can do something about it. Tyler, what you did, I started, then stopped. We'd never directly talked about it. What someone did to help us was risky, and probably illegal, and definitely not something that should become a habit. I know, but it worked. Rick's in prison. The money came back. Mom learned a lesson, and we're okay. Sometimes doing the right thing means breaking some rules. That's a dangerous philosophy, kid. He grinned, that same grin he'd had when he told me he'd fixed everything. Good thing I'm planning to use my powers for good then, right? FBI Cyber Division, remember? I laughed, and it felt good. Real. For the first time in a year, I felt like we were actually going to be okay. The final piece of revenge came 6 months after that, and it was perfect because I didn't have to do anything. Jessica's mom called to tell me that Jessica had been struggling to find any decent work because potential employers kept finding information online about her involvement in a fraud case. Nothing illegal had been posted, just public record stuff, court documents, news articles about Rick's arrest that mentioned her name, but it was all conveniently aggregated and search engine optimized so that anytime someone Googled Jessica Mitchell, the whole story came up on the first page. She's thinking about changing her name, her mother told me tiredly, starting over somewhere else. I made sympathetic noises but didn't offer any help. After I hung up, I looked over at Tyler, who was doing homework at the kitchen table. Tyler, do you know anything about search engine optimization? I asked casually. A little bit, he said, not looking up from his math problems. Why? No reason, just curious. He smiled, still focused on his homework. It's actually pretty interesting, Dad. The internet never forgets things. Once something's out there in the public record, it's really hard to make it go away. Almost impossible, actually. Huh, that's good to know. And that was that. Jessica eventually did change her name and move to Arizona. She calls Tyler on his birthday and Christmas, and he's polite but distant. He's forgiven her, I think, in the way kids can forgive parents for being flawed humans, but he hasn't forgotten, and neither have I. As for me and Tyler, we're doing great. The college fund is healthy again. I made partner at my firm. Tyler's in high school now, taking advanced computer science classes, talking about MIT or Stanford for college. He's got a bright future ahead of him. And while I'll never know for sure exactly what he did to make sure we got our money back and Rick got what he deserved, I'll always be grateful. Sometimes in life, you get betrayed. Sometimes people you trust will hurt you in ways you never imagined possible. But sometimes, just sometimes, you get lucky enough to have someone in your corner who's smarter than all the bad guys combined. Someone who knows that the best revenge isn't getting angry or getting even. It's being smart enough to make sure justice actually happens. My son taught me that, and I'm never going to forget it. If you made it to the end of this story, thank you so much for watching. Derek and Tyler's story shows us that sometimes the best revenge is just being smarter than the people who tried to hurt you. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing our community grow from all corners of the world. A special shout out to our amazing viewers from the United States, the Philippines, and Canada. You guys make up such a huge part of our community, and your support means everything. Whether you're watching from New York, Manila, Toronto, or anywhere in between, I want to hear from you. Tell me where you're from and what you thought about Tyler's genius move. Did he go too far, or was it the perfect payback? And hey, if you enjoyed this story and want more content like this, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Share this video with someone who needs to hear a good revenge story today. Trust me, they'll thank you for it. I'll see you in the next one.